This is a let me put this one actually. Um, the demonstration of the Apache Beam data engineering assignment, where the visualization based on a data set, EDA, and collab. In this case, I picked marriage and divorce, which is going to give us some data, and we're going to manipulate it, clean it up, and display visual representation of what the data analysis is finding. And so, starting out, of course, doing a pip install with AutoGone, importing the libraries that's needed, pandas to read the information. For instance, importing the tabular data set and predictors. Unzipping and unloading the data set, which was again the marriage and divorce, and scrolling down, and this produces the header output. It reads the CSV file, and these are the columns that are present in that particular file. And basically, what this is, it gives you it's trying to predict the probability of divorce based on different factors such as age gap, education, um, religion, desire to marry, things like that. And these are the probability numbers that's based on that information. So the probability of the age gap, depending on how broad the age gap or education is, the probability factors are here. So for instance, economic similarity, um, in this case has a high uh, divorce probability based on this data point. So that header information, the first thing that I did with this was generate some graph representation for it. So we look at this one and open this in a new tab. Basically has the age gap parameter. So the age gap being um, in years, the probability with higher age gap, it increases. The lower the age gap is a lower probability for divorce based on the predictive factors here. There's another one here. Let's see, open this one up. This is education based on education similarities. Uh, if the education is close in, it appears that the divorce probability is low. However, as you get into a greater gap in the education, the probability increases. This right here is where the is no values were cleaned up, so the data I went through a data cleaning for it. Um, this is a heat map based on all of the different columns, and they look like they all fell, and I think it's because of this uh, unit of measure, so that really didn't give as much information as I thought it would based on what I gave. This one, the values were too close. I think that the columns are not. I think, but the columns, you can't read them down here, but it basically has a count of each one of them. This is another example. I actually chose to do the education piece of it, plot the education on it. So it's basically, from this point, it's just basically different plots of data. In this case right here, the plot was created for divorce probability versus age gap. So it gave a visual presentation where you can look at the clustering data based on a dot matrix on the probability of divorce based on age gap. So if the age gap looks like if it's higher, the probability looks like it actually thinned out. It looked like it was peaking between 4 to 8 years in age gap. If you see the clusters up here. I did the same for divorce probability and cultural similarities, where you can see where it's a little bit more spaced out. And again, the cultural similarities, the higher uh, the similarities, it looks like, well, and the age gap, divorce probability and cultural similarities. That's what this was. So the more over here, the more cultural similarities you see, that it's less points of divorce probability versus where you have less cultural similarities. So cultural similarities seem to be a factor in marriage or staying married. Here is the one of the last graphs that I put in: divorce probability and cultural similarities, which is kind of that, which was displayed up here. The social similarities graph was also created. And the final one that I did was basically a table that I wanted to know the highest, like based on education level, get the highest level with the highest average of divorce probability in terms of its gaps, and it was in education. The education level contained the highest average of divorce probability if there's an education gap within the partners. So that was pretty interesting. Interesting assignment to research was in marriage and divorce using the ApacheBeam data assignment.